At my birthday dinner, my coworker gave a toast that exposed everything. This feels weird, and I still can't believe I'm actually writing this. I came across this platform by chance, and after reading other people's experiences, I'm finally gathering the courage to share mine too. Maybe doing this will make the guilt less? I don't know. I just need something to comfort myself. After what happened to me, I'd thought a million times about what I had to do to get my life going, but I'm still stuck in that night. It was supposed to be a happy night where I'd get to bond with my family and friends, but it turned out to be the night that marked the end of my marriage. I ruined everything, for myself, my family, and for a very dumb reason at that. My name is Eve, and I'm 39 years old. The thing about me that I could never change is the fact that I was obsessed with being young and beautiful, and everything I wanted or owned had to look refined and catchy, and that included the guys I dated. At first, I thought it was just normal, something to be proud of. I mean, it meant I had good taste, right? And with that petty mindset, I managed to get myself a husband who ticked all the boxes on my list, Leo. We looked so good together back then, and I could already see a future adorned with roses for us. Little did I know that I would be the one to ruin that beautiful picture, and for a reason I can't even look someone in the eyes and boldly admit to. Our marriage was blessed with 2 kids, a son and a daughter, and we were living our lives like every normal family until I blew everything up. Leo was a loving and caring husband, and although he wasn't often around due to work, he always made us his priority, and we never lacked anything. He would always make sure to make the most of the time we spent together whenever he got the chance, and things were just going smoothly for us until I messed up. In Leo's case, he was 4 years younger than me, but one would easily believe he was my dad. I know a lot of people are going to curse at me and say I'm overreacting, but honestly, that's how I felt. He looked like he had an invisible hole in him that kept letting air or water in, which made him consistently increase in size, and he started aging so fast. I suggested he try to lose weight, but after trying a couple of times, Leo gave up, claiming he didn't feel uncomfortable about the way he looked. I kept complaining and pushing him about it, but Leo wouldn't take it seriously. He claimed I was overreacting, and that even our kids saw nothing wrong with him. He wasn't kidding. My kids would always proudly compliment him on his new look, and I couldn't help but get furious each time I heard them say it. I don't know why that was such a big deal for me, and without even realizing it, I started distancing myself from my husband. It started with me always making up random excuses not to go out with him because I didn't want people asking if he was my husband. And on days I couldn't escape, I'd either walk a few steps ahead of him or behind him, just so people wouldn't notice. It didn't end there. Leo started being less active during sex, as he couldn't last long like he used to. He would just get on me, struggle, and be tired after a few minutes, and just like that, I'd be left unsatisfied. What was I expecting from someone for whom even breathing took so much effort? And I think that's where my madness began. I started finding Leo boring and irritating, and just when I thought I could manage everything, one comment from a stranger had to set off the time bomb in my head. My daughter had just gotten admission into the university, and our family's tradition was to always celebrate happy moments, no matter how insignificant you might think they were, and this one wasn't going to be an exception. The day was going so well, and everything seemed perfect until that moment. My son had insisted we gather for a family picture, claiming it had been so long since we had one together. He said the pictures we had now were either missing me or it was just him and his sister with Leo separately. I tried turning him down, claiming it wasn't a good time for it, but the kid just wouldn't let it go. I got dragged to Leo's side, and he called for a photographer who was standing close by. The idiot came over, and instead of quietly taking the damn photo, he just had to make a dumb comment. He smiled like a clown and told my husband he was a lucky man to be blessed with 3 adorable children, and just like that, I snapped. I wanted to explode at him, but that would mean telling him I was Leo's wife, not his daughter. And with that stupid realization, I started imagining the look he'd give me after hearing that. And just like that, I lost my voice and stood there like a statue. My kids laughed so hard at the comment, and that made me even more mortified. I just couldn't wait to disappear from there. The second the camera flash blinked, I immediately walked away, heading straight home and leaving Leo to handle the rest. Since that incident, the little charm I thought Leo had was completely gone, and my husband just became boring to me. I became even more absent from home because I didn't want to see Leo, and I started spending more time at work. My boss had succeeded in her plan to set up a foreign branch and had gone abroad to make sure everything over there stabilized and was running smoothly. She had left me in charge of the business in her absence, and that alone gave me the perfect excuse and justification for my absence from home. Our kids were older, and they mostly stayed in school, so we only got to see each other when they came home during school breaks or for holidays. I didn't have to worry so much about them, and each time they were not around, I was as free as air, able to carry on with my life without any burden. So it wasn't really difficult, and I had nothing to worry about. Leo and I would always fight about it, especially when he'd come home after a long trip from work and I'd still be busy, not giving him any time. I refused to change, telling him he wasn't a kid that I had to look after, and that we were both doing fine on our own. Our kids weren't complaining either. After much pressure and many fights, Leo got tired and gave me the space I wanted. We would only meet when the kids wanted us to, and we'd act like things were okay between us. I could tell Leo wasn't okay with the way things were between us, and he was only waiting for me to come back to his side, but I couldn't bring myself to fix things. I don't know what was wrong with me then, and I regret acting the way I did. It would have been better if I had stopped there. Maybe things would have turned out differently from how they are now, but I went on and made things worse. At work, I was closer to my younger coworkers than to people my own age. And if not for the fact that all companies always have a detailed profile of their staff info, it would have been a piece of cake to go around claiming I was in my 20s too, as I would easily pass for it. I was so carefree that after work hours, I would sometimes join them for dinner or go clubbing with them. Hanging out with them made me feel so alive, and I was so caught up in my own world that I forgot I had a husband and kids at home who needed me too. I was too busy with my own business to realize that my marriage and the home I had built over the years were slowly falling apart, and I went ahead to even make things more complicated. While out clubbing one night, one of my coworkers introduced me to someone. The guy was just my type, and he reminded me a lot of Leo when he was younger. We had great chemistry that night, and just like that, I crossed the line. The first time, as they say, is always the hardest, and once it's done, doing it again isn't hard anymore. I started dating and flirting with young guys, and with time, I got comfortable with it until it became a normal thing for me. I had everything I needed, a stable job, 2 lovely kids, and though Leo was a stain in that picture, I was able to make up for it with all the love and attention I was getting from my young boyfriends. They gave me mind-blowing sex, and the kind Leo could never give me in years, unless a miracle happened. They treated me with so much love and respect that there was nothing more to ask for. I was so stupid and blinded by my cheap reasoning that I failed to see the most important thing in my life, but I guess it's too late now. Everything got ruined because of that witch, Mercy. Just the mention of her name still makes my blood boil with hatred, but then, in a way, what she did to me saved me and made me realize how much of a mess I had become, though it was already too late for me. Mercy was my coworker, and we started at the company at almost the same time. She was older than me by just a few months, so we got along well at first, until I changed. We shared everything together and helped each other grow, but it was no denial that I was better than her in everything. Our boss liked me more, and I got a promotion easier and faster than her. In no time, I was working as her superior. My new bond and closeness with the younger colleagues wasn't helping matters either, as it made the already cracked bridge between us collapse, leaving a huge gap between us, and I was too busy to even realize it. In a way, I think my ignorance of that was karma's first step to make me pay for everything I did. I feel everything got complicated with the last contract we signed. It was a very big opportunity for my colleagues, and anyone who got chosen for the job would not just have a golden shot at a promotion, but it would also give that person the opportunity to get noticed by my boss, and that meant bigger opportunities and chances. Since my boss wasn't around, I was the one in charge. I had announced that the opportunity was for everyone and had given out the proposal plan to everyone as an assignment to come up with the best plan that would suit the project. To me, it was a fair call, and everyone was satisfied with my decision, except Mercy, and I had no idea about it. The deadline came, and everyone submitted their proposals to me. I had gone through everyone's work and had decided who the winner was going to be. On D-Day, I called for a meeting with everyone, and I had 2 proposals in hand. One was Mercy's. I started with Mercy's proposal, and I said it was a good one, but it was still missing a few things, and it lacked what I needed. I went ahead to explain my point, and everyone could also see with me that I was right. But little did I know, I had hurt Mercy with that. She didn't argue with me or say a word of protest and just smiled, agreeing with my opinion. I went ahead and presented the proposal that caught my eye, and coincidentally, it was that of our youngest. I had carefully explained my reason for choosing that, and everyone couldn't have agreed more, as her proposal was indeed the best and exactly what we needed to carry on the project. Everything went back to normal, and I had no idea Mercy had taken what happened to heart and was out to get me. She had set me up, and like a fool, I fell right into her trap. Not long after that day, Mercy started trying to get close to me again. I didn't find anything strange about it, as we'd been friends for the longest time, and even I had no idea why we suddenly became distant, so I took it like I had just gained an old friend back. We got closer and closer with time, and it wasn't long until she got to see who I really was. She found out I was into younger guys and had used my weakness to bring me down without me noticing anything. We went out clubbing as usual, and we were all having fun as well. Mercy joined us later, and this time she came in with 2 young, handsome guys. She claimed one of them was her boyfriend, and the other was his friend, and she had brought him to introduce to me. She said the second her boyfriend introduced him to her, he reminded her of me, and she knew I was going to like him. I mean, she wasn't lying. I had already taken interest in the guy the minute I laid my eyes on him. He was very handsome, had all the qualities I needed, and a smile just enough to make me feel younger. He introduced himself to me as Kyle, 24 years old, and he was attending the same university as my daughter. Hearing his name, it sounded familiar, but I didn't give it much thought and shoved the thought aside. We got closer, and unlike other guys I played with, I found Kyle to be more intriguing, and we lasted longer than I had planned. We would go on vacations together each time he had a break from school, and I would always lie to my family saying I was traveling for a business trip. I would spend time with Kyle and return afterward, pretending to my family like nothing had happened. I had everything under control, and my husband was still clueless about my infidelity. Leo had tried a couple of times to fix things with me, but I was always the one who shut him out. When he came home, he would always send me flowers while I was at work, most times sending me lunch, since I would always refuse to eat out with him each time he offered. On nights we were home together, he would always try to bring up conversations with me, but I would always respond like I was almost not interested. Looking back at things now, I wonder why he had not left me then and still stayed by my side, fulfilling his duties as a father, and though I didn't give him the chance, he never failed me as my husband. Finally, karma struck, and the time for me to reap what I had sowed came. It was my birthday, and as usual, I had made plans to celebrate it. I even went on to make it more special by inviting my coworkers to attend, as I wanted to use it as an excuse to make Kyle attend. I had told him to disguise himself as one of my coworkers, as I needed him to also be present on my special day. We couldn't hang out together because my kids were back, and they'd definitely want to be around me, especially on my birthday, when there was no excuse I could give them to make them understand. So, following Mercy's advice, I made arrangements for all our coworkers to attend and used that as an opportunity to invite Kyle too. Looking back, I realize it was all part of Mercy's plan, and I had fallen right into it. The long-awaited evening came, and the party commenced. I was back to being a loving wife and a mother to my kids. My acting was top-notch, and no one could sense that Leo and I were not on good terms, not even my kids. I had not noticed anything strange about the party, and was literally having a blast, unaware that I was standing at the edge of a cliff, getting ready to be pushed off by a person I considered a friend. Kyle arrived, but before I could go to him, my daughter ran over to him. I was confused and surprised at first that they knew each other, but then I recalled they actually went to the same university, so I figured they must have somehow crossed paths. I avoided him, as I didn't want my daughter asking me so many questions and finding out about me and Kyle, but then Kyle too was avoiding me. At first, I thought he was just being cautious, as he didn't want his relationship with me to be found out by someone he knew, so I didn't give it much thought. It was only at that moment that everything became clear to me. The party went on perfectly, just the way I'd loved it, as Leo had put in so much effort to make that day special for me. We had dinner, and my coworkers made it more fun, as they all sang and did a lot of surprise performances, adding even more excitement to my party. It got to the time for me to cut my cake when Mercy volunteered to handle it, as well as my toast. I should have rejected her offer, and then maybe I would have dodged the bullet that hit me that night. But I was dumb and clueless and agreed to her request. My family gathered beside me, and with big smiles on our faces, we cut the cake and all had our glasses up, ready to make the toast. It was Mercy's moment, her stage, and I must admit, she played me so well. Mercy took up the mic, and with a big, bright smile I'd never imagined was fake, she started by saying she had a few words to say before we all clinked our glasses. The whole hall went silent, and everyone gave their ears to what she had to say, and that's when that sly witch stabbed me in the heart. She started all sweet and cool, saying nice things about me, starting from the first day we met and how our friendship grew. I swear I could never sense that I was just about to get struck by a lightning called betrayal. Mercy's words were all heartwarming until she said I was perfect in all ways. That's why I was also perfect at building a fake family. The smile I had on my face while listening to her vanished instantly, and the tears that were threatening to spill from all her touching words dried up too. I stared at her in confusion, as I didn't understand what she meant nor why she said that. That fox didn't stop there and went on, saying that I had really good taste, and that was one thing she admired so much about me, and it was no surprise I attracted a lot of people, especially younger men. Hearing those words, I panicked, as I knew what was coming. It was time for me to snatch the mic away from her, but when I moved to do it, my daughter was faster than me. She grabbed the mic from Mercy's hands and slapped her. That was so unexpected, and everyone, including me, was startled. She yelled angrily at Mercy, accusing her of trying to defame me. She even went as far as threatening to sue Mercy for trying to soil my name with baseless lies. Mercy wouldn't back down. She burst out laughing, her eyes mocking as she looked at my daughter. Her next words shattered my world, as well as my daughter's. She loudly stated that she pitied my daughter for having someone like me as her mother, and that while she was wasting her time defending me, all the while I had been having fun with the guy she claimed to be her boyfriend, Kyle. Mercy walked up to where Kyle stood and announced loudly to everyone that Kyle was my boyfriend. Kyle's frozen expression and trembling body were just enough to confirm everything. He stood there, out cold, his eyes locked with my daughter's. It was obvious Mercy had played both of us, and he too had no idea I was his girlfriend's mother before then. The whole hall fell into uproar, and everyone was murmuring and whispering to each other, each taking a piece of me. Their eyes had flames of disappointment and disgust, and I could feel them burning through my whole being. I was embarrassed and shocked. In fact, I was more than shocked. My heart tore a million times as I realized Mercy wasn't just bluffing, she was telling the truth. The shock and hurt on my daughter's face were just enough to confirm everything, and Kyle's reaction, along with mine, was just enough to make everyone believe. I would have easily lied and gotten away with it if my daughter hadn't been involved. Mercy played her cards well, and she had me by the neck. I could never escape it. I couldn't feel my legs anymore, so I dropped to the floor, and the tears started pouring. Mercy just smiled, finished her drink, and walked out. The big toast was over, and everyone started leaving in pairs, bit by bit, and Kyle, too, had vanished. Soon, it was just me and my family left in the hall. My daughter threw a huge tantrum, smashing and breaking anything she came in contact with. I couldn't even count the number of times she asked how I could do such a thing, and no matter how many times she asked, I couldn't find the right answer to give her. Leo was silent, but his eyes were red with rage. I got to my knees and started begging. I apologized continuously, but no one was ready to listen to my excuses. Leo just walked past me, wrapped his arms around my daughter, and took her away. I turned to my son, who was the only one left in the room, and started begging for his help. I told him I never meant for any of that to happen, and that I had no idea Kyle was dating his sister. My son's response crushed me even more. He said he had known I was cheating on Leo years ago, but he had chosen to play ignorant and had kept my secret because he didn't want Leo to get hurt. He had decided to stay out of my business, and that was how he missed finding out about Kyle. He said he regretted his decision in the past because it had not just hurt Leo, but also his sister. He walked out on me after furiously stating that he would forever hate me and that he didn't think he'd ever be able to forgive me for breaking our family. I cried so much without anyone to console me. I knew it was the end for me and that I had lost not just my marriage but my kids as well. I couldn't bring myself to go back home because I had no idea how to face my daughter, so I spent the night at our second house. I spent the rest of the night thinking of ways to fix my mistake, but there was nothing I could do. I knew it was too late to fix anything, and there was no way I could change what had happened. I cried so hard, wishing I could go back in time. I swear, if I had the chance, I never would have played with my marriage. I don't care about anything anymore. I just want to make everything right, because I don't know what else to do. Update. It's been almost a month since my birthday night, but the pain is still fresh. I still feel stuck in that night, the night a toast cost me my whole being, my marriage, and my kids. I haven't been able to face them and had been staying at our second home, but Leo's family eventually kicked me out. I tried to rent an apartment for myself, but I couldn't because Leo had seized all my accounts, and now I'm broke. I went back to my family house, and that's where I've been staying until now. I met my family once when my daughter was rushed to the hospital due to an overdose. She had been suffering from insomnia and had been relying on sleeping pills. I rushed over like a madwoman after my sister called to tell me about it. When I arrived, I overheard the doctor talking to Leo about her condition. He said she had taken more than the prescribed dose, and that was what caused her to become unconscious. He added that if my husband had found her any later, it would have been critical. I couldn't hold it in anymore and started crying, and that's how Leo noticed me. He charged at me in rage, and if not for the doctors and nurses intervening, I might have died that day. Leo ordered me to leave and never show my face to him or our kids ever again. He blamed me for putting our daughter in such a situation and said he would never let me live if anything happened to our children. He said he could have endured the pain if I had only continued hurting him, but the only reason he held back for so long was because of our kids. He knew how much they loved seeing our family together and how sad they would be if we separated. That's why, no matter how bad things got, he always chose their happiness over his own and pretended to be okay, even when he wasn't. But I had destroyed the last bit of patience he had the moment I hurt our kids. He told me to pray for our daughter's recovery, because if anything happened to her, he would have me thrown in jail, making sure I suffered before ending my life. I could feel he meant every word, and deep down, I started praying. I knew I would never forgive myself if I was the reason we lost our child, and I wasn't sure I'd live another day if something like that ever happened. Leo threw me out of the hospital and threatened to hurt me if I ever showed my face again. I was helpless. I didn't know what else to do. After Leo left, I sneaked back in and got the chance to see my son. I was too worried to leave. I needed to know if my daughter was okay. My son told me to go away and remain the coward I was. He said he hated that I never came home since that night to see his sister, or even try to fix things. I broke down telling him I couldn't face them because I was so ashamed of myself. He yelled that I should have thought about that before doing what I did, that it was too late, and that he didn't want me in his life anymore. I left the hospital with pain and rage boiling inside me. I stormed to my workplace and grabbed Mercy by the hair the second I saw her. We both got into a fight. I blamed her for being the reason my child was fighting for her life, and accused her of being the reason I lost everything. Mercy told me I had no one to blame but myself, that everything was my fault. When I asked what wrong I had done to her to make her go to such lengths just to ruin me, her response left me stunned. Mercy admitted with so much hatred in her voice that she was never my friend. She said I always acted high and mighty, and because I was smarter, I kept taking away all the opportunities that were supposed to be hers, starting from my position. She said it was rightfully hers from the start, and that I had stolen it and used it to block her next promotion. She said she couldn't stand me pretending to be refined when, in reality, I was nothing but an adulteress and a slut. I couldn't say anything anymore. I just listened to her ramble on and on. I couldn't believe I lost my family because of jealousy and delusion. I cursed Mercy to my heart's content before leaving. I quit my job the next day, and a few days later, I heard Mercy got fired from the company too. Now, I spend my days wondering where it all went wrong. I know I made a mistake, but the punishment I'm facing is too painful to bear. I've lost everything. I've been abandoned by everyone, and not even my kids are willing to accept me back. If I could give up anything just to earn their forgiveness, I swear I would. I don't feel like living anymore. I just want my family back. I'm in so much pain, and it hurts even more knowing I can't change anything. I'll never forgive Mercy for ruining me, and if we ever cross paths again, I can't promise to leave her in one piece. After my daughter got discharged, I secretly went to our house to see her, but I couldn't approach them. Seeing Leo and the kids together, with me missing from the picture, didn't feel good anymore. I finally realized that my biggest source of happiness was the fact that we were all together. And now that's gone. I'm all alone, with no one to lean on and nobody who understands me. I've become a stalker now. Since I can't approach my family, all I can do is watch them from afar. Will I ever get to be with them again? Will Leo ever be able to forgive me? I ask myself those questions every day as I live the rest of my life in regret.